Hello, white people. Rudy Giuliani recently got raided by the FBI. Ooh, that's pretty concerning. Well, why did he get raided by the FBI? Probably because he was part of the crew that was investigating Ukraine Gate. That's what I've heard it called, Ukraine Gate. So let's look deeper into this whole Ukraine Gate and see what we can decipher and see if it was even investigation worthy in the first place. Now, I know that Hunter Biden had some sort of a laptop where it was discovered he'd dropped it off. It's just an odd story. He dropped it off and never picked it up, and it had all kinds of scandalous evidence on it. And Hunter Biden was also sitting on a board of an energy company, and he was getting $50,000 a month. So who is this energy company? See, this is what, I mean, there's a lot of details to the story, but what would Hunter Biden sitting on the board of an energy company, what benefit would that give to President Potato Joe Biden? Let's look at this article. This is from October 14th, 2020, and it is by NS Energy. What is Burisma, the Ukrainian energy firm caught between U.S. president rivals? The company was a focal point of President Donald Trump's impeachment trial over its connections to Democrat Joe Biden. As the U.S. election draws closer, it is in the spotlight once again. Once little-known Ukrainian natural gas firm Burisma Holdings found itself thrust into the center of a presidential impeachment storm earlier this year over its ties to the son of former U.S. Vice President Joe Biden. The company's name surfaced repeatedly throughout investigations into President Donald Trump's conduct in office amid allegations he attempted to coerce leaders in Ukraine into digging dirt on a potential rival in the upcoming U.S. election. Trump was ultimately acquitted of his impeachment charges, which comprised allegations of an abuse of power and the obstruction of Congress. But with former Vice President Biden now battling Trump in the upcoming election and a bitter campaign trail entering its final weeks, Burisma is once again in the spotlight. Why is Burisma significant? Biden's son Hunter joined Burisma in 2014 as a board member, around the same time his father was serving under President Obama, holding the position for 5 years. Trump argues for a conflict of interests and even alleges corruption between Hunter Biden's role at Burisma and his father's political activity in the country during the Obama administration. Biden had been asked by Obama with overseeing U.S. political activities in Ukraine, primarily advocating for anti-corruption reforms in the country's energy industry. Anti-corruption, now, oh darn it, just now another rabbit hole that I gotta look into. I'll do that later. I don't understand anti-corruption reforms. In a now infamous July 2019 phone call, Trump allegedly asked Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky to investigate both Biden in return for political favors, which we know this is not true. Critics called this an attempt to strong-arm the country into discrediting a political opponent ahead of the 2020 election. And at the time, Biden wasn't a political opponent. This was just something made up by the mainstream media, with Biden considered by many at the time as the Democratic candidate most likely to challenge Trump. Despite the impeachment acquittal, the discourse surrounding Trump, Biden, and Burisma has not gone away. And amid all this furor, did I say that right? Furor, never heard of that word. The energy company has skyrocketed into the public consciousness on both sides of the Atlantic. What is Burisma Holdings? Founded in 2002, Burisma Holdings is an oil and natural gas company owned by Ukrainian oligarch Mykola Zhilok, whatever. He is a businessman who previously served in public office in the country and one who has been the subject of fraud investigations, although never convicted. The business, which is based in Kiev but registered in Cyprus, is a holding company for several subsidiaries in the energy industry, including Esko, Pivnich, Pari, Persha, Ukrainska, Naftogazova, Kompania. Okay, we're not going to even try these, but just I'm not going to try to pronounce them, I just can't do it. It is one of the largest natural gas operators in Ukraine, as well as having further interest in Germany, Mexico, Italy, and Kazakhstan. According to the company, it produced 1.3 billion cubic meters, BCM, of gas in 2018, and while it does not disclose its financial results, estimates by news agency Reuters suggest this level of production could have generated revenues upwards of $400 million. The Biden connection. In 2014, Hunter Biden, who was at a loose end, having been discharged from the U.S. Navy for a positive cocaine drug test, joined the board of Burisma, earning reportedly monthly salary of $50,000. At the time, Reuters cited a statement from Hunter Biden, which appeared on the Burisma website, in which he said his role would be to help the company with transparency, corporate governance and responsibility, international expansion, along with other issues. That is a weird job title, isn't it? Transparency, corporate governance and responsibility, international expansion. Oh boy. His appointment. Let's look at this picture here. We got Biden meeting with former Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko in 2015. And, well, I don't see anything that stands out there to talk about. His appointment raised a few eyebrows in political and industry circles, given his father's position as Obama's right-hand man, as well as Burisma's checkered history and accusations of fraud against its owner. Burisma had previously been the subject of anti-corruption probes by domestic lawmakers, while its owner had been investigated by the UK's Serious Fraud Office as part of a wider inquiry into claims of money laundering in the Ukraine, although this ended in 2018 due to insufficient evidence. Money laundering. Isn't money laundering just when people have money that they don't pay taxes on? Many commentators have suggested Burisma's hiring of Hunter Biden, along with other high-profile board members, including former Polish President Alexander, we won't even say that last name either, and former CIA officer Kofor Black, were an attempt to deflect attention from corruption investigations and restore some reputational value to its name. Corporate fraud in Ukraine had become a key issue for Vice President Biden towards the end of the Obama era, and he actively campaigned for reforms in the country, singling out Ukrainian prosecutor Viktor Shokin in particular as an obstacle in the fight against corruption. The fight against corruption. We know that always means the opposite. Pressure from Biden, alongside other international figureheads, eventually led to Shokin's dismissal in March 2016 for, among other things, his failure to adequately investigate Burisma over claims of money laundering and tax evasion between 2010 and 2012. The impeachment inquiry. All these factors constellated in the July 2019 phone call between Trump and Ukrainian President, which became the focal point of the impeachment investigation and subsequent Senate trial. A whistleblower complaint led U.S. Democrats to launch their impeachment inquiry in September 2019 after it was alleged Trump pressured the Ukrainian leader to investigate both Joe and Hunter Biden to secure damaging information on them. This was described during the impeachment hearings as a quid pro quo in return for the U.S. providing a $400 million military aid package to support Ukraine in its conflict with neighboring Russia. It was argued that Trump was seeking to boost his chances against a political rival in the upcoming 2020 presidential elections, something that is illegal to solicit foreign entities to do. President Trump has himself argued the Bidens had a nefarious influence and conflict of interest in Ukraine, particularly in regards to the removal of Shokin from office. In the 2020 presidential election, since the impeachment trial was concluded in February, former Vice President Biden has become the Democratic challenger to Donald Trump in the 2020 presidential election, due to be held on November 3rd. I think they're talking to a non-American audience. It has been a bitterly contested campaign, defined largely by the two candidates' differing approaches to the mindfuck pandemic, which has killed more than 200,000 Americans, as well as race relations and climate change. Yet Burisma continues to feature in political discussions. The president has not abandoned his claim that the Bidens exerted improper influence in Ukraine, while a months-long inquiry has been conducted by Senate Republicans seeking to prove illicit behavior. In an update in their investigation published in September, Republican senators claimed Hunter Biden's position on Burisma's board cast a shadow over the work of those advancing anti-corruption reforms in Ukraine. Cast a shadow. And I still can't get over anti-corruption reforms. That means that the U.S. government has their finger on Ukraine, or it doesn't. The report, dramatically titled Hunter Biden, Burisma, and Corruption, has been criticized, however, for a lack of compelling new evidence to support allegations of wrongdoing against the former vice president. Democrats have described the probe as a politically motivated investigation designed to damage Biden's prospects as a challenger to President Trump. Burisma's time under the spotlight of U.S. politics does not appear to be over just yet. Boy, this really didn't give me any insight as to why is it that the Bidens want to be. Why would Hunter Biden be on the board of this company, and what does it have to do with Potato Biden, with our resident? Because the P is silent in president. All right, white people. I know that there's so many unanswered questions, and when I find some more answers, I'll be back. Thank you so much for listening. I look forward to your thoughts below.